Today in this video we are going to take a look at one very nice and very cool feature in Spreadsheet program, and it is wildcard. So what is wildcard? Wildcard is a technology that gives us a more generic way to check similarity between two strings or two texts. So the old way, when you want to perform or want to check whether a certain cell contains a certain text or string, you do something like this. If you use if statement, you write something like this. So if cell D7, so whatever value in cell D7 equal to text query, then if function will return match, otherwise it will return unmatched. But the weakness of this approach is you can only perform a perfect exact match. But with wildcard, you can perform a more generic way to check whether a cell contains a pattern of text. So let's take a look at the example below. Let's say we have a piece of data like this. So we have a bunch of text or a range of cells that contain text like Ayeri, Valerie, Blueberry, and all of this text ends with the word Eri. Okay, so what if you want to check whether a particular cell in your spreadsheet program ends with the word Eri? Or let's take a look at the other example. We have text like very nice and everyone, and you want to check if the cell contains Eri. So the Eri can be on the any position of the text. So it could be the start of the text or the end of the text or in the middle of the text. You're probably thinking, oh, I can use left, mid, and right and combine it with the if function or other function to perform the things. But it will be very hard to do, and if not impossible to do. And that's why wildcard will come in handy. So let's take a look at the example in my worksheet here. So I have a movie data like this, and I have 6 tasks here that I want to perform. So I want to check, I want to find any movies that start with the word the. I want to find any movie that ends with the word man, find any movie contain the word just, and etc. So there are 6 tasks here. So I already write my formula in column D, and what this formula do is this formula will check the value that I will put in cell in column C. So it will check the value and it will use the wildcard. We are going to use the wildcard, and we are going to take a look at the result here. So let me show you. There are 3 meta char, or there are 3 characters that have a special meaning when we use in wildcard. So the first character is star. Star means any string or any text at any length. So any string at any length. And there are second character, and that is the question mark. Question mark means any text but only one length. So if you want to check 2 lengths, you need to put 2 question mark. If you want to check 3 texts with the length 3, you need to put 3 question mark. And there are the last character in wildcard, which is the tilde. So what is this tilde do is it converts the asterisk or the star sign and the question mark into a plain text, because sometimes you want to check whether a cell contains star or question mark, and unfortunately the star and question mark is a meta char in wildcard, but we can convert it to a plain text or a plain char using the tilde character. Okay, so let's take a look. So we want to find any movie start with the word the. So I will write here the, and star. So what this means is the word should start with the and any text after that. So it will match any movie that start with the and any text. So stars mean, or asterisk means any text after this word. Okay, so let's hit enter, and you can see the result is no match. Let's fill this column with wildcard criteria, and you can see that we got 2 movies that match our criteria, The Amazing Spider-Man and The Witch Hunter, because these are 2 movies that start with the words the. Okay, so let's move on to the next task. So the second task is to find any movie ends with man. So to find any movie that ends with man, so the movie would start with anything, whatever, and end with man, just like this. Let's take a look, and you can see we have 3 results here, 3 movies that match our criteria. Let's move on to the third task. The third task is to find any movie that contains jazz, the word jazz. So the word jazz could be on the first text, or on the last text, or in the middle text. So the word jazz could be in any position. So if you try to perform this third task using the old way, without the wildcard, it would be very complicated and very difficult to do. So we want to find any movie that contains the word jazz. So it will start with anything, or it will start with nothing, and it should contain jazz and end with anything. Okay, let me write here. So star, jazz, and star. Okay, so star means it could start with anything or nothing, and it should have the word jazz and should end with anything or nothing. Okay, let's try to fill this column with our wildcard criteria. And as you can see here, we have 2 movies that have the word jazz, that contain the word jazz. Okay, so you can see how easy it is to perform a text match using the wildcard. Okay, so let's take a look at the next task. So the next task is to find any movies that contain witch and end with the word hunters. Any movie that contain with witch. Okay, so contain, let me write here, so witch, okay, and end with hunter, just like this. And as you can see, we have 2 movies that have the word witch in any position. So the word witch could be any position before the word hunter, and the word hunter is the last position. So you can see that we have 2 movies that match our criteria. So let's move to the next task here. So we need to write a wildcard to find only movie with title We Just Married and We Have Married. If you take a look at our data here, in our movie, we have We Just Married here, and we have We Have Married here. Okay, so if you take a look here, the wildcard that I need to write is it starts with we and whatever value between, and it ends with married. Just like this. You're probably thinking that this will solve our problem, but let's take a look. As you can see, we have 3 results here. We just married, we are married, and we have married. So we fail to fulfill the task number 5, because the task number 5 requires us to find only movie with title We Just Married and We Have Married. So what's the problem here? Well, the wildcard criteria that we entered here will check whether the movie starts with the word we and end with the word marry. we want to eliminate this movie, okay? We Are Married. We want to eliminate this one. So if you take a look at the two movie, We Just Married and We Have Married, it has 4 letters here, and this one also have a 4 letter, but We Are Married are only contain 3 letters, okay? And we can use that to eliminate We Are Married. So we are going to take a look at the next meta chart in wildcard, and that is the question mark. So question mark will match any text or any letter, but it will respect the length of the criteria. So we can specify the length here. So one question mark means any text or any letter, but only one length. So if you want 2 lengths, you can put 2 question mark. If you want 3 length, you can put 3 question mark, and so on. So we can modify our wildcard here, and I will modify by using so we, and we have space there, and I want to take 4 letter here, because just and have 4 letter and a space here, and enter. And now let's try this, and as you can see, we are managed to get the result that we want. So we have the We Just Married, and we have the We Have Married, and we are able to eliminate the We Are Married, okay? So let's move on to the last task here, to find any movie that contain the asterisk sign or the star sign. And remember that star is a meta chart in wildcard. So in order to solve the last task, we need to use tilde, okay, to make star as a plain text, okay, not a meta chart. So let's write here. So I want to find any movie that contains star. So like this, any movie that contains star, but we need to make star, the star in the middle, as a plain text. If we try to use this wildcard criteria, it will always return true. It will always return a match result. So we need to convert this into the asterisk in the middle in our wildcard criteria. We need to convert that into a plain text by using tilde like this. And now our wildcard criteria works, and it will return only this movie, because this is the only movie that have asterisk sign or star sign. Okay, so now let's take a look at another example to better understanding about wildcard in Spreadsheet program. So let's take a look at this example. In this example, we are going to write our formula. In the previous example, we just write a wildcard criteria for you to understand how wildcard work. But this time, in this particular worksheet, we are going to write our formula. So let's take a look at our worksheet here. So we have employee email and salary data. And if you take a look at the ID contains asterisk and question mark. And the asterisk means it's staff. Question mark means that the employee is a manager. Okay. And we have an email here. And we want to calculate the total salary by division. So we have the information of the division of every employee according to the email here. So we can see here we have a finance, we have IT, we have a production department or division. And let's use wildcard to calculate the total salary. So to calculate the total salary here, I'm going to use a sum if function. And I want to check the email. So I will pick this range as the data to check whether it meets our wildcard criteria, and here we need to write our wildcard criteria. And if you take a look here, the criteria that we want is the email that ends with whatever value in this cell, in cell G6. Okay, so we can use star and close like this, close the string or text, and use end, and we concatenate with whatever value in cell G6 like this. And we want to sum the salary, okay, just like this. And let's take a look. So we have some value here, which is the total value of the finance for the every data here that ends with text financemicrop.com. Okay, so if we calculate this, let's take a look. Finance, yeah, there are only one employer on the finance department, and you can see the result is 8,520. Let's write another function here to find out the IT department. So sum if, and the criteria is, let me just the range that we want to look up is this one, and the criteria, let's just write this directly. So the criteria will be star and IT my corp home, just like this, and we want to calculate the salary, this range, and you can see we have 23,000. So if we calculate all the IT employee here, oops, IT employee, and the result is 23,770. Okay, so you can see the result here. And last, we need to calculate for the production, for employer in the production division. So sum if, and I want to check this range, and the criteria will be star plot mycorp.com, and we want to calculate the salary, and you can see now we got the correct value, and you can see the total here. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next task here, to total the salary for employee whose name star contains R. And let me remove this first because we want to write our own spreadsheet formula from scratch. So let's use sum if again, and the range that we want to check is the name, because we want to check the name, whether the name contain R or not, and star star and close using the speech mark, and we want to calculate the salary just like this. Okay, so you can see the result here is 25,000. So let's take a look at the employee name that contain R. So this one contain R, this one contain R, this one also contain R. So let's calculate their salary, and the result is 25,160. Okay, and let's move to the last example here. We need to calculate the total salary for staff and manager. So star is the staff, and question mark is the manager, and because star or asterisk and question mark is the meta char in wildcard, we need to use tilde here. Okay, so we need to use tilde. So let's calculate again using using sum if, And the range that I want to check or look up is the ID, and I want to check if the ID contains asterisk. So let's just add asterisk and tilde and asterisk, just like this. And I want to sum salary, and you can see the result here. And let's do the same thing for manager. So sum if the range is ID, and I want to check this time for question mark. Don't forget the tilde, and the column that I want to sum is the salary. Okay. So now you can see how wildcard is very handy to perform a string match in Spreadsheet program. So let me tell you one more thing that very important to know when you want to use wildcard. Wildcard does not support. Let me write here. So wildcard doesn't support by all function. Okay, so wildcard is not supported by all function in Spreadsheet program. So there are functions that will not work with wildcard. For example, if function is not supported. Let me show you. Let's use if function here. So if whatever value in cell C19 contain, so let's use contain TAV, okay, and if it contain TAV, it should return match, otherwise it return unmatched. You can see it return unmatched. Why? Because the if function will treat this asterisk sign as a regular text. So it will not treat this asterisk sign as a meta char, or because if formula doesn't support wildcard. Okay, so you cannot use wildcard with if formula. But actually there are a trick that you can do to work with if. Okay, the trick is to combine the if function with the count if function. So let me show you. I can use count if, because count if is supported by wildcard. So count if, and I want to count this cell, and the criteria is the wildcard that you want. Okay, the wildcard criteria. So it should contain TAF like this, and you can see that the count if return 1, meaning that it contains the wildcard criteria that we put on our count if function. So now I will copy this. Oops, I will copy. Let me press Ctrl C on my keyboard to copy this formula, and I will replace this criteria with our count if function, just like this, and put enter. We need to remove this one. Okay, and you can see it match. Okay, so yes, if function does not support wildcard, but other functions support wildcard. So we can combine the other function like count if with the if function. And if you want to know which function support wildcard in Spreadsheet program, I have a note here. So these are all the functions that support wildcard. So you can see we have daverage, average if, dmax, count if, max if, hlookup, lookup, vlookup, match, and search. So these are all the functions that support wildcard. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope this video and this information is useful for you. And if you think that the information that you got from this video is useful for you, don't forget to like and subscribe to support my channel. And thank you for watching. See you on the next video.